Atlanta Christian Church. I'm Pastor Lawrence McManus, and this is bonus material. We're going to dive a little bit more into some of the teaching on persecution. We studied the eighth and final Beatitude of Christ. Blessed are those who are persecuted, for theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 10. And when we look back at the Old Testament, there are times that stand out where there was persecution, but one of those times that really stands out to me as a lesson that goes along with persecution is a time when men who were faithful to God and were the best servants to the king were maliciously accused of worshiping other gods, not worshiping the idols that the king had put forth. And so the king became furious and brings Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in his presence. And he says to them, "Is it true that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden statue I have set up? Now, if you are ready, as soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the statue I have made. But if you refuse to worship, you will be thrown at once into the fiery furnace. Then what God will be able to deliver you from my hands?" That was a bad question for him to ask, but he asked it. What God will be able to deliver you from my hands? As if he was God, Nebuchadnezzar. Now Nebuchadnezzar was a real and historical king, and he asked this question, and these men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, replied to King Nebuchadnezzar, "We have no need to answer this matter. If the God whom we serve exists, then he is able to deliver us from the blazing fiery furnace and from your hand, O king. But even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden statue you have set up." You see, there were those in the community and in and around that worked with or did some of the same things that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did, kind of in the same category, but they were not any comparison to these three men in terms of their commitment to God and their value in the kingdom. And so you probably remember the rest of the story. I'm going to leave the rest of it up to you to look up. But you can find it in Daniel chapter 3, verse 8 and following is what we just covered, and you can see the rest of the story, how it turned out. I think many of you do know already how it turned out. But that point, even if he does not, that we will be faithful to God even if he does not deliver us from the fire. Now, this past Sunday in youth at Rooted, we heard a story, a testimony from a young man named Joey Kelly. And he too was in a very violent situation. It was not necessarily persecution for his faith, but it was a very, very traumatic and violent, horrific thing that he did not deserve. Nobody deserved what happened in this situation, but he was traumatically affected. And he suffered with PTSD and survivor's guilt for many years, he says, until One day he walked into church as a young adult, and he heard the song Amazing Grace playing. And he said he just broke down and wept. And he wept for hours and hours. And he gave his life to the Lord and received his grace. And he still needed help. Yes, beyond that, he sought out Christian counseling, but he realized at that moment, and he gave up the anger and the question, the identity that was so much a part of what happened to him, and he accepted the identity that God gave him as his child, his son. And then fast forward, or I should say rewind from Joey's story to the book of Acts. In Acts chapter 5, 28, verse 28, we see there that Peter and the apostles were being persecuted for preaching, for sharing the news about Jesus and his resurrection. And the religious community, the religious leaders, the Pharisees, were the ones doing the persecuting in this situation. They said to them, "We gave you strict orders not to teach in this name." And he said, "Yet you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching, and you are determined to make us responsible for this man's blood." They were afraid. They were jealous, and they still didn't fully understand the fact that Jesus was the Messiah. And so Peter's response is that, and him and along with the apostles, said this very telling statement: "We must obey God rather than men." And this is the other part of persecution that we need to adopt and learn from these Bible accounts. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, even if the Lord does not do what we want him to do, even if he doesn't spare us some pain and anguish, we're still going to be obedient, and we're still going to worship only the Lord. And we must obey God rather than men. No matter how much men want to persecute or beat or harm, we will obey God rather than men. You see, even Jesus said in verse 11 of the Beatitude section there at the very end, chapter 5, verse 11, he says that, "Blessed are you when people insult you." Let me rewind. When people insult you and persecute you and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And like I said at the end of the message yesterday, we have, well, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. We have nothing to worry about in terms of persecution. It's not something we should worry or fear. What we should be worried about is when we are not ever being persecuted. So, this week, may you be blessed even in those times, even when you are persecuted. For yours is the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heavens. Now, thank you for joining me and joining us with this bonus material. A couple announcements I want to highlight for this week. We've got this Friday, which is the 10th of December, is a Mother's Night Out for shopping, young mothers. that have preschoolers, if you would, if you are just hearing about this and you didn't hear about it on Sunday, we know of a couple, but please contact us. Let us know if you're planning to come so we can make sure we have plenty of help and sitters. Basically, we're going to offer some free babysitting, just free will donation. If you'd like to donate something toward the youth, that's fine. But we just want to have an opportunity for you to be blessed and be able to go shopping. So from 6 to 9 on Friday, this Friday the 10th, you can drop off your child or children and go shopping or get ready for Christmas, however you're going to get ready. And then on Sunday, this Sunday, we are starting a new sermon series, and we are also going to have, for our special this Sunday, we've got a Christmas skit that our youth are doing. So we'd love for you to join us. This is going to be a live skit that the youth will do this Sunday and during service, and then we are starting a new sermon series. The series is called Scrooge, and we're lessons that we can learn from Scrooge, and this first one is Christmas Present, so you won't want to miss it. And there are some other events coming up next week. We have Christmas caroling on Wednesday the 15th. You want to be here at 6 for soup and sandwiches and some good old-fashioned traditional Christmas caroling. We're going to go out and do some caroling in the community, so we're looking forward to that. And then on the 19th, the following Sunday, we've got poinsettia service coming up, and I had a poinsettia in here for that reason, as a reminder that as we remember loved ones, the poinsettia service is coming up as well. So you'll want to get information, get signed up. There's a sign up for that on Sunday. And then Christmas Eve service, don't forget about that. Christmas Eve, the 24th, and we will be having, at 5 o'clock, we'll be having Christmas Eve service, singing and short devotional, candlelight service. It's a wonderful tradition. It's something I've done many years from my youth on, and still love to do that with my own kids. So look forward to seeing you soon, and God bless.